Hello and welcome to my home. I have invited Fire Inspector Tavis Milleroff to my house to assess the fire alarm smoke detector situation in my home. You saw us in my office a couple months ago where we talked about the smoke detector program that's going on with the fire department. They had 2,500 smoke detectors that you could install in people's homes. There are just a little under 300 left, so we decided to come over to my house, assess the situation. I'm pretty sure it's not very good, and encourage Meridian Township residents to contact the fire department and grab onto the last ones that are left. And you
Absolutely.
have until August 31st. So we're standing here in my entryway with my beautiful artwork for my grandchildren behind us on my husband's
Stunning.
office door. It's stunning artwork. They're so good. So we're just kind of starting here. We're going to follow you around, and we're gonna look up at the ceiling and see where these things should be placed and that kind of thing.
So what I do is I come into the home and I take a look and see where your current existing smoke alarms and your carbon monoxide alarms are. I'm going to make sure all those are in good working condition and they're not out of date. And then anything which you're lacking to what the current guidelines recommend through the United States Fire Administration, I'm going to try and install that before I leave.
I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad he's here.
So a couple questions before we get started is, do you know what year the home was built?
1984.
1984. Okay. How many bedrooms total in the house?
4 bedrooms.
Okay. Are they all upstairs or are they on?
All
okay,
upstairs.
They're all on the second floor.
Yep.
All right. This will actually be pretty simple then. So let's go upstairs and start there.
Okay.
Okay. So you have one hardwired alarm right here. Hardwired just means it's connected to the home electricity. There may be a battery in it as a backup and there may not be. Given the age of the home and what I'm seeing here, this looks original to the house, so it probably was installed in 1984. And I just call these things great big buzzers because they make a very obnoxious sound when you actually test them.
Okay.
So,
well, it works.
But it does, it works.
I didn't know that before.
Yep. So that alarm works, no problem. The only issue is the age, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. So we go throughout the rest of the upstairs, and I'm going to go ahead and make the assumption, being that this was built in 1984, there's no other smoke alarms up here, correct?
Correct.
So there aren't any in the bedrooms themselves?
Correct.
Okay, let's go back downstairs to the main floor. Okay. So you may or may not have an alarm on this level of the home based on when it was built. So we'll just walk around. A lot of times you'll find them in the entryway, or if there's a hallway going towards the garage, there's actually, oh, we've got one right here. Good. So I'm just going to use the stool here.
I probably took the battery out.
Okay. Yep, battery's not in it. And it's an older alarm anyways. One thing I'll note though, the placement of this is not ideal. We don't typically put smoke alarms in kitchens, simply for the fact that the thing goes off all the time, and that's why you took the battery out of it in the first place, right?
Guilty, yes.
Exactly. So
that's probably not good.
As great as smoke alarms are, they're dumb devices. What they're looking for, 90% of the smoke alarm devices on the market use ionization detection. So it's looking for ions in the air. And when it finds negative ions in the air, negative ions are you typically attach to carbon, carbon's in smoke, it thinks there's a fire, and it alarms. As soon as you turn that stove on, though, it's throwing ions off into the air. Okay. So that's where we get all these nuisance alarms from.
That's why it goes off often.
A lot of times what we tell people, if you got to have one close to the kitchen, you need to change the type of it. Go to a photoelectric smoke alarm. That will actually be, and you can find those on the shelf. They're at Home Depot, any home improvement store. That will be much better for that application being closer to the kitchen. Or we just try to get them out of the kitchen altogether. Okay. So, but we should have possibly another alarm, maybe, on this level. It will be one of the hardwired ones, just like what's upstairs. And
there's not one in the office.
There's
not one in that closet. There's not one in that bathroom.
Won't be one in the bathroom.
There's not one in this family room.
Is there a laundry room or anything?
Well,
is that downstairs?
I'm kind of embarrassed by my laundry room.
Does this go right to the...
Let me take a peek without you coming in here.
All right.
Nope.
Nothing in there?
Nothing in there.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So
that's
that's not completely uncommon to not see one on the main level. Let's head down to the basement and check that out.
Okay.
so there's the other hardwired alarm, and it's got a light on it, which means it's got power to it. And that's one of the ways to know whether your alarm is hardwired or battery. If it has a constant light lit in it, it's typically a hardwired alarm that's connected to the home electricity. So it may be red, it may be green, it may be anything else, but as long as there's a constant light lit in it, then that's probably a hardwired alarm. Well, see, and this is why we test them, because this one's not working. So, pull this down and take a look at it. These actually connect very simple, just this little wiring harness to a clip that goes into the back of this.
Okay.
But again, this is 1985. See the date code right here, 85106. So that was built in 1985 on the 106th day. That's how they did their date codes back then. Oh, okay. So this alarm is, what is that, 20, 30, 34 years old. So definitely time for an upgrade.
Okay. I don't think most people think about upgrading their alarms.
They do not. And that's one of the big things about this program that we try to educate everybody with, is that you should change your smoke alarms, whether they're battery or hardwired, every 10 years.
Okay.
Simply because the sensitivity of the unit itself diminishes over time. I can press the button and it'll buzz, but what it's not telling you is how much smoke it's going to take to make it actually go off in a fire situation. So let's see if, no.
Do we really need it in a basement where there's not?
So,
I mean, why do I need it in every room, including a basement where obviously I'm using?
Well, and that's exactly why you need it here. So what the current guidelines recommend from the USFA is that we have a smoke alarm in every bedroom, one in the hallway or areas leading to the bedroom, and then after that, they would like to see one on every level of the home. When it comes to carbon monoxide alarms, one on every level of the home, doesn't matter where, okay? So down here in the basement, do we have a lot of risk? No, especially if it's an unfinished space like this. However, we do have things in here. We have fuel-fired appliances. We've got a furnace right there. We've got a water heater somewhere. Right there. There's two water heaters right there. So you do have things down here that are gas-fed where things can go wrong. And if a fire starts down here, you're going to want to know about it in the middle of the night before it gets big enough to get to the first floor where it's really going to be a problem, right?
Yes.
So that's why they say one on every level. It doesn't matter where, one on every level. You know, even if there are no bedrooms, they want to see at least one. That way there's some protection to the space that, available to you.
Okay.
So, and remember, the root purpose of a smoke alarm is to wake you up at night to get you out if there's a problem. And the idea of placing them in every bedroom, in the hallways, and on every level is to give you the most protection and give you the earliest detection possible for you and your family to get out.
Can you tell when a smoke detector goes off in the middle of the night, can you tell where that's coming from, or is it so loud that it's hard to determine, oh, I can tell that that smoke is coming from, you know, the living room or basically downstairs, upstairs, basement kind of thing?
The way modern hardwired and interconnected smoke alarms work is when one activates, they all activate.
Okay.
So you're going to have, if you've got 7 or 8 of them in your house in a newer home, and when I say newer, I mean like maybe 2005 and newer from there. One of them goes off, they're all going off. You're going to have to search for the problem. What you have to do is while they're going off, look at them and see one of the alarms should have a red light or something that comes on and what we call it locks. It locks in the alarm mode. And so it's telling you, hey, I'm the one who's saying there's a problem here. All the other ones will be screaming, but that light won't be on it.
Okay, so this is a home built in the 80s. There are a ton of homes in Meridian Township built in the 80s. Yes. I'm sure you've encountered.
I've been in hundreds of homes. Yes.
Okay, so you've encountered these. What do we do now?
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the alarms from the grant program in the areas that are recommended throughout the house, which means I'm going to put one in every bedroom. I'm going to put one on the first floor. Now, you already have an alarm here on the basement. You already have one in the hallway upstairs. The slight trick, or I'd say the only caveat to this program is that I don't have hardwired alarms to replace these. And because these are what is actual current residential code today. So if you were going to take this house, rebuild it anywhere else in Michigan, you have to have hardwired and interconnected smoke alarms in every bedroom, in the hallways or areas leading to, and then every level of the home.
Okay.
So what I've been telling people when we run into this program is I don't have anything to replace this. I can't put up one of mine next to it because that's technically kind of going backwards in the code, and that's a no-no. So I don't have it to give you. I can't buy it for you. But if you want to go out and purchase it, you can find replacements for these. Like I said, Home Depot, Lowe's, any home improvement store. I'll give you my card. You know how to get a hold of me.
Yes.
I'm more than happy to come back and install it for you after you purchase them.
Okay.
And I've done that.
How do I know what to buy?
So I'll write it down. I've written it down on plenty of the owner's manuals that I've handed out. Exactly what you need to go in and look for.
It's probably the most helpful thing.
Yeah,
I mean, aside from
exactly.
installing
And
what we need.
I've had some people who were, before I started doing that, go to Home Depot and they bought the wrong stuff. And they call me back and I went, this isn't going to work.
That would probably be me.
This is what you need.
I would need your advice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is we'll go ahead and put one in each of the bedrooms upstairs, and we're going to locate one on the first floor. And then I'll write down what you need for the other two. And when you get those purchased, I'll come back.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right.
Push test button.
If I put one between the kitchen and the natural chimney of the house, which is the staircase, if you're upstairs at night, something happens in here, it's going to hit this alarm and start going off way before the smoke even reaches you upstairs.
And that will echo in this room for certain.
And remember, the killer is the smoke. It's not the fire itself. The smoke's going to kill you way before the fire ever gets to you. So that's why we do it this way. But all right, so
can you tell me again what's the difference between this one and the ones that are in my house from the 80s?
So these are all battery operated. Okay. And the other thing is these are all dual alarms. They're both smoke and carbon monoxide alarms in the same device. The older alarms that are original in the house are just old smoke alarms that were hardwired. They don't have any batteries in them at all. So when the power goes out, you're left unprotected. Okay. So
and those 80s ones didn't have carbon monoxide.
No. No, that wasn't even an option.
Wasn't even thought of back then.
They didn't start coming out with the carbon monoxide ones until the 90s.
Okay.
So so you have two options to replace them. Because upstairs you just need to get a hardwired smoke alarm replacement. And of course I always recommend getting the 10-year lithium backup, battery backup in it. And that's what these are. These have the 10-year lithium batteries in them because there's no battery changes. When I turned them on, they're good for 10 years. So 10 years from now, they'll chirp just like a normal battery does, a smoke alarm does, especially at 3 in the morning. And all you have to do is come down and you replace the whole unit then. So it's convenient because it's good for 10 years, and it's also convenient because it forces you to change those out every 10 years like we recommend, because the sensors start dying off at that point. So, and everything is going to go to this. New York State already passed the law. You can't buy anything that doesn't have a 10-year battery in it now. So,
well, it makes it much easier for people, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Michigan will catch up in a few years, I hope. So, so those are the big differences between the two. Upstairs, all you need is just a standard smoke alarm because I put all these other dual alarms in each of the bedrooms. So you're covered up there for your smoke and your carbon monoxide.
So I don't have to replace that electric one that was connected?
You should.
Or I should.
You should replace it.
You're going to write down which one I should.
Absolutely. I'm gonna write it down on your owner's manual when we get done.
So the one in the basement and the one upstairs are the two
that need
from
to get,
the 80s that are electrically hardwired that you're going to tell me.
That should get replaced.
Okay.
The thing about the one downstairs is there are no other carbon monoxide alarms down there, and I didn't put any of my alarms down there because you still only need the one. So you have two options. You can replace that electric hardwired one with a dual sensor one that's smoke and carbon monoxide, or replace it with a standard smoke alarm and then put another carbon monoxide alarm down there, an independent one at some point. You can do it either way. The only reason I give people the option is that the dual hardwired smoke and carbon monoxide alarms, they're expensive, especially with the 10-year battery backup in it. They're about $90 a piece.
Okay.
So, but that's the way
It's
it is.
$90 to protect your entire home.
It is,
Which
but
is a
you know,
little more than $90. So.
it is. Some people though that we've run into, you know, around
get
here,
it.
they're all on fixed, you know, some
I
are
get
on fixed
it.
incomes and stuff like that.
I
And I've always
understand.
told people, hey, you know, the quickest way to, or the old joke, how to eat an elephant, one bite at a time. So just, you know, chew off one bite at a time and replace a couple here, replace a couple there, and pretty soon you'll have the whole house done.
Right, okay.
All right?
Great.
Cool. Let me write this stuff down
Thank
for
you.
This does have information in here about how to avoid nuisance alarms, what to do if the alarms are going off for no reason. We have had a few people call back and say, hey, this alarm keeps going off.
Right.
Okay, I had one lady bring one back to me in my office in pieces. So, because she thought she was going to get to the battery, take the battery out of it. You can't.
Okay.
Without breaking it, you
That's
can't.
good. That's good to know.
Yes.
So call you first, or
No,
try
don't
to
call me.
Try to
Read
figure
the
it out.
instructions
Read
and
the
how
instructions.
to turn it off
Okay.
if you need to. But just know if you do turn it off, there's a way to do it with a screwdriver in the back of it. That unit is now dead and has
Right.
to be replaced.
Right.
So,
Okay.
all right. So you need one.
Read the instructions.
All right, there you go. So those are the two devices you need to get.
Thank
one
you.
hardwired smoke alarm with the 10-year battery backup. One hardwired combination smoke and carbon monoxide alarm with the 10-year battery backup.
Awesome.
Awesome. All right.
All right. So if anyone out there,
Yep, anyone out there is interested in the program, we're still taking people to sign up. We have people on the list. There's no guarantee we're going to get to everybody. But you can call the fire station, 853-4700, talk to Kristen, and we'll get you set up and on the list.
perfect. Thank you
Awesome.
so much. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming in.
You're welcome.
And helping me protect my home
All
better.
right, let me know when you get those bought, and I'll come back and change
All
them
right,
out. Cool.
thanks.
Thank you.